Hey everybody, Hellcrex here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 222. And today we're going to be talking about the Rakshasa, or Rakshasa. There we go, Rakshasa. Alright. It's one of those mechs that's based on the Marauder chassis and made into something that's supposed to be like a Mad Cat, Timberwolf. So, yeah, it's like Inner Sphere design that, well, attempts to do something, but, well, it's kind of, I don't know. Well, let's just delve into it. First of all, it has endo steels. That's a great plus. You know, it takes up a lot of space, but, you know, it is a great savings of tonnage for this mech. But it comes at the cost of running around with XL engines. Yes, it has XL engines. So, yeah, you lose a torso and this mech is done. But it is a 5.80, so it does have some movement. It gets up and goes. It has 15 double heat sinks, so it can dissipate 30 heat, which isn't too bad. If you fire all the main heavy weapons, yes, you're going to heat up. But, you know, that's the nature of the beast. We'll talk about that here in a second. It does have 215 points of armor, which isn't so bad. It's getting up there toward maximum. And then let's talk about the, well, weapons. We have an LRM-10 in the right torso with Artemis fire control and a ton of ammo. And then in the left torso, we have an LRM-10 with Artemis and a ton of ammo. So it's 12 shots each for launcher for the, okay. And then we have in the right and left arm, we have a large laser, ER large laser. All right, pump out 12 heat with 8 damage. It's not too bad. And then in the left and right arm, we have a medium laser. And in the left torso, we have a medium pulse laser. The reason there's a medium pulse laser is because, well, it pretty much is, they have no spots left. There is no more critical spots left to put, say, 2 instead of 1 medium laser or 2 medium lasers. They could have, you know, that way they ran out of space and go, okay, let's put a pulse laser instead of throwing it elsewhere like armor. You know, they could put a medium laser in with more armor. They could have gone that route. But, you know, they didn't. That's just the way the design is going forth. Now, heat-wise, it can dissipate 30, like I said. It creates 32 with the 2 LRM-10s and the 2 ER large lasers. And if you run, that's 34. So you can do that one turn without any problems. But the next turn you do that, you're slowing down. So, yeah. You have to kind of shepherd this thing. So, fire a couple large lasers and maybe an LRM-10 and 2, you know, going that route where you fire 2, 4, you know, or something like that, where you shut something off so you can keep the heat going down and go up and down type of deal. Or just go forth and fire 2 ER larges and an LRM-10 and go that route. You could go that way. Personally, I think they would have been better off if they just put an LRM-15 or an LRM-20 on this thing instead, as one single weapon and then gone with the extra tonnage someplace else. But, you know, your mileage may vary. It's kind of like those simplistic type mechs, and they could have thrown case on this thing. All right. Now, my experience with it is, to quote a famous character from Babylon 5, it's like, no boom today, boom tomorrow. That's been my experience with this thing. And who was that quote from? Let me know. But the Rakshasa, I've had the problems with it. You get a crit into the right or left torso. My experience has been is like, more often than not, you hit the ammo and the thing explodes into a billion little bits and it's done. And that's a dead mech. And it doesn't take much for, as if you're facing off against the clans, this mech life expectancy is pretty short because all you got to do is blow out a torso. Yes, it does have 23 armor in the torso, so it can take a couple good hits, but like say a ERPPC and say a large pulse laser hit the torso, you're already in and you have a chance of a crit. And more often than not, from my experience, You get, I think, about a 1 in 6 chance of hitting ammo, or the 1 in 7, something like that. And if you got 1 crit in there, it just decreases even more. So your chances get better as you do more crits in there hitting the ammo. And if you get 2 or 3 crits, odds are you have pretty much blown this thing to pieces. That's been my experience. But now, when you are using it yourself, I found that it's one of those mechs where as you're closing, you can use those large lasers, or sit back and use it as a fire support mech, or kind of like, I find it works better as in a fire support lance, where it's the shepherd. So if you got some archers and some catapults or something like that, it has a little bit better speed, so it can intercept something put itself in between it and whatever's coming towards your fire support lance, and do some damage to it. And actually, it seems to do more damage kicking than it does elsewhere, because the odds are, it's like you do hit with the 2 LRM-10s and the 2 large lasers. The odds are you're probably doing 6 points of damage per launcher, so there's 12 plus 16, so that's 28. It's kind of respectable. You're doing some good damage with it, but it seems to have problems when it's taking it itself. It doesn't take long to focus one of these things down. You get, let's say, some medium clan mechs or something of that nature, or even even lighter clan mechs can dish out a lot of damage, and this thing gets ripped to pieces pretty quickly. But if it's doing its job as a shepherd, yeah, maybe that helps out a little bit. Personally, if I had my hands on one of these things as a mercenary, I'd probably, it's like, I'll take cash. Or give me a Marauder instead. Can I have a Marauder? You have a Marauder? I'll trade you the Marauder for the Rakshasa. Let's go that route. Give this a standard Marauder and do an upgrade kit on it, and bring the heat sinks and the weapons up to snuff. That'd be what I would do. Okay, there are a few variants of this mech. There's the 1AR. This variant drops all the weapons except the medium lasers. In place are 2 snub-nose PPCs in the arms and a pair of MML7s in the right and left torso, with ammunition is finally protected by a case. So at least they put case on it, so if the ammo goes up, at least the pilot isn't turned into a bunch of crispy goo everywhere. So it's not bad. It's kind of what it's time, I think, with a 3067 or somewhere in there. That's when that one comes out. And then there's the 1B. This variant is a modification made of the mech's heat levels more manageable. I've never had any problems with the heat on this thing. It's like I just said earlier, it's like the heat is easily managed with this mech. You get individuals that want to fire everything every turn, then they'll barbecue themselves and blow themselves up. Fine, that's because they don't want to manage their heat. But I don't have that problem. And this one is kind of like a step backwards, because it takes 2 ER large lasers and replaces them with 2 standard lasers. Yes, the heat isn't a problem anymore, so you're doing 16, 24, 26 heat, and you dissipate 30. Yeah, then now you can throw in some medium lasers into the mix. So, okay, and then you're right back to causing a little more heat. But you got to get a little closer. So, fine. Some people prefer to have just a standard large laser. I like the ER largest just because I like that little bit of extra range on the dial. But, your mileage may vary. Then there's the 2A version, a departure from the attempt to emulate the Mad Cat. This one removes the mech's arsenal and upgrades it with new weaponry. So now it has a Rack 5, and then it's backed up by shorter range by a large pulse laser for point blank range. Basically, yes, you have to be point blank range. You use a massive heavy weapon. It's like you're putting 7 tons into something that does 9 damage and it only shoots out to 10. A total waste of tonnage, in my opinion. Heck, I'd rather have 7 medium lasers. Personally, hey, you do a heck of a lot more damage. And then it also carries 4 medium pulse lasers. Okay, so that's even down shorter at 6. So you basically have to get into someone's face you use the rack 5 as your closing, and then when you get into point blank range, then you're kicking, punching, gouging, and then you're using all the pulse lasers. So yeah, not a fan of that one, not at all. Because the amount of damage you can do with this, the standard version, by the time you get there, probably will outdo the amount of damage you can do at short range, if you even make it. Let's just put it that way. All right, so that is the Rakshasa in a nutshell. It's one of those mechs that doesn't really cause me much concern if I see it on the battlefield, and I'm not a big fan of using it myself. Like I said, if I had one of these as a merc company, it's like, hey, for sale or trade, I'll trade you a Marauder for this thing. You can have it. I'll take a standard. You got a standard Marauder? I'll take it. Here, take this thing. I'll trade you up and up. I'll be happy. And we'll see you in the end. All right, that's everything. Hope you guys like and subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Hellcracks out.